What can we do? What can we do? These words have rung in my head since first hearing of the Newtown, Connecticut murders. The events that ended with the deaths of 20 children and their adult protectors center around three societal topics that for some have become things we dare not talk about: more effective gun control, substantive care for our mentally ill, and the prevalence of violence in our society. No, this is not about disarming law-abiding Americans, so please keep listening. The sad truth is that we cannot prevent this from ever happening again. But as a society, we can take steps to diminish the likelihood of events like these occurring. The United States needs to do all it can to ensure that guns wind up only in the hands of honest, law-abiding Americans who are entitled to have them. Go to any gun show in America and you will see straw purchases, when one person pretends he is buying a gun for himself, when in fact he is actually buying a gun for a friend, relative, or stranger who is legally prohibited from owning a gun. If that isn't enough, private gun sales do not require an FBI background check. They are usually cash transactions, and very often a receipt is not even prepared. These loopholes create perfect opportunities for guns to wind up in the hands of people who are not legally entitled to possess them. And what about the severely mentally ill in our society? Since the 1970s, the United States has deinstitutionalized all but the most seriously mentally ill. The proponents reasoned that it was too costly to keep so many mentally ill institutionalized, and that it was more in line with American principles to not curtail their freedom. But many believe that we have failed to create a mental health care system that truly meets the needs of the mentally ill within our communities. In fact, obtaining quality care for law-abiding mentally ill who are not institutionalized is nearly impossible in many places, as resources are available only to those who are in immediate crisis. In one published report, the father of a mentally ill young man was told by hospital emergency staff to bring his son back after he hurt someone. Why do we not acknowledge and make provisions for the scores of law-abiding Americans with mental illness who require care? Lastly, there is the prevalence of violence in our society. Young people in America are surrounded by violent images. Television, movies, music, and video games all too often focus on senseless, over-the-top violence. In some movies, the violent crescendos last 5 or 10 minutes. Isn't it possible that we are creating a desensitized culture, one in which we constantly seek greater levels of stimuli in order to obtain the same sense of excitement as before? Is there a price to pay for all this violence? I know that many people will say that more effective gun control measures and better health care for our mentally ill would not have stopped Adam Lanza. And I also know that many people will say that violent video games, movies, and television didn't contribute to Lanza's rage. Perhaps they are right. But the truth is that we will never know, because the days of trying to stop Adam Lanza are now long gone. They are lost opportunities. The question is, how many more opportunities to stop senseless violence will we let slip through our fingers? And will we let our fear, our complacency, and our politics stop us from trying? For Crime and Justice Media, I'm Robert Cacciatore.